Welcome to Women Awakening. I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hi, welcome to Women Awakening. We're changing lives one woman at a time. I'm at a conference with extraordinary women. One is sitting next to me. Her name is Roxanne Emmerich, and I fell in love with her many years ago, and it's okay with Carl. And, and I wanted to introduce you to her because not only is she successful, but she's created a life that's pretty powerful. So could you tell us what your business is?
Well, my business for the last 29 years has been, I've been speaking professionally. I wrote a New York Times bestseller called Thank God It's Monday. That's about how to make a workplace a great place for customers and employees to be. And I have a specialty niche in the banking industry where 70% of the clients we work with will double their profitability in the first 3 years because they're voted best place to work. More than half of them get voted best place to work in their states within a couple of years.
So what makes a place the best place to work?
It's about people being their higher selves. And that's something we don't teach in the schools, we're not teaching in the workplaces, we're teaching them technical skills, or we're teaching them communication skills. It's all too out there. And so we're going down to core things about, Cynthia, if I disagree with you, how are we going to talk through this one so that we don't lose our relationship? What do commitments look like? What do you do when you break a commitment? How do you make sure that you're talking to your boss about what it is that's meaningful that you're doing, not just the busy work? Because according to Business Week magazine, they interviewed 6,000 employees. They said, do you perform in the top 10%? You want to take a guess what percentage of the population thinks they perform in the top 10%?
No, how many?
Anywhere, depending upon whether it's male, female, management level, executive level, anywhere between 87 to 97% of employees declare that they perform in the top 10%. And so we help them understand, what does performance look like, what's important in the job, what's the busy work where you're knocking yourself out and not going anywhere. But it's really about, I hear from the executives all the time that everybody in the organization changes, but the people who change the most are the executives.
Right.
Because it's their way of being.
Right. So I also know that you're running this big company, you're speaking and a sought-after speaker, and you have a family, a beautiful marriage and children. I want to know, and I'm sure the ladies here looking at this, it's like, how do you create harmony here? Because balance isn't so, we all talk about balance, but really it's not that.
Yes.
How do you have a harmonic life?
Okay, I don't believe in the traditional workplace balance. And I got a lesson from my son. I was shooting a video on balance one time for training materials for our clients, and I thought, well, here's a chance to clean up what's probably a messy piece of our relationship. So I went to my son Brandon and I said, what would you tell other children's parents about how to be better mothers and be better for them in their lives? And he said, Mom, you should tell them all to become speakers so they can take them on the road like you take me on the road. And I'm thinking, the guilt that I did whenever I was away, all he could think about was, Mom, you were fully present with me. And so I think it's about presence, and I think most people don't get the presence thing. And so, when you're home all day with a child, but you're watching television, that's not being present. And so when you're truly hearing them and being there with them, and without being a helicopter parent, there's that balance. But when you're truly able to hear them and have meaningful conversations, that's all they remember. And our kids are grown now, and they talk about those conversations and those rituals as having been important. And I was doing 140 speeches a year at one time, which was insane.
Wow.
And yet, my husband and I had a little truce. It was like, whoever calls dibs on the night out of town, the other one is left with 4 kids. Which you can tell which was the better deal out of that, because there was the night's sleep that you got in a hotel room that you couldn't get at home.
Exactly. So this network is called Women Awakening, and this is for women to understand that they can create a life of their dreams.
Yes.
And they have to find the space within themselves, the light within themselves, the harmony and the grace within themselves to do that. So what would you tell our women? What would you want them to know in order to live the life that they've created of their dreams?
Well, I would say the history has nothing to do with your future. I grew up on a dairy farm, milking cows. We had no money. I had this ugly yellow jacket that was certainly something sold on, with a flashing blue light on clearance somewhere. That when my mother washed it, all of the filling, which was not down, all clipped together. And so I grew up in Wisconsin, where it was terribly cold, froze to death all winter long because I didn't have a coat that was warm, and it was ugly, and I felt ugly. And so I grew up feeling ugly, feeling like there was no one around us who had money. We were impoverished, but who knew, because everybody else was impoverished. I didn't know, I couldn't see a way out of this cycle.
Right.
And my dad gave me $20 to go to college, and that was the end of the funding, and so I always took 3 jobs. And I was just committed. I was just thinking, there must be something that people know about money, whatever it is, I'm going to learn that. Because they had to learn it from someone, and maybe they were lucky enough to have parents who could teach them that. I didn't, but it doesn't mean I can't learn it. And then when it came to business, I didn't have anybody who could teach me about business, but I thought I'm just going to go ask people questions, and I'm going to read as many books as I can. I'm going to figure it out. And I just decided to be a cause in my life because I didn't like the circumstances I came from, and I decided that there was no need that needed to continue. I could make commitments. I didn't know how far I'd go, and I pinch myself every day. I can't believe, now we have 13 schools I've built in Africa already. With the profits from my company, I'm committed to building 300 in my lifetime. I mean, my dad's vision for me was to be a secretary because I won the typing award back in college, That was so it doesn't, I hear so many women saying, well, my family doesn't support me. Okay, you support you, get on with it. What can you do to make that shift? And so, I think it's about owning your future and setting an intention and going after it and knowing you're going to get kicked between the teeth a lot and 2x4s between the eyes. That's part of the game.
Right.
Just keep picking yourself up and going again.
Well, thank you. You inspire me.
You inspire me too.
Oh, thank you.
It's a mutual love affair. And I'll tell David, he knows.
So ladies, what I want you to know is that Roxanne is an example. She's not an exception. She set her sights and she moved one step at a time. That's all you have to do. Wake up, bring the vision into your sight, and take one step at a time. Please come back to watch more videos. Women are supported, and I want to thank you for being here. What's your website so people can find you?
They can go to emmerichgroup.com or roxanneemmerich.com or thank God it's money.com. I'm all over the place on different kind of things. And but what's most important is you're brilliant to be following a woman who is masterful at what she does and is committed out of her mind. I've rarely met a woman so powerfully committed to making a difference in people's lives, and that's why I fell in love with you.
Oh.
So you are smart just to be along with her on the ride.
Thank you, ladies. See you next time.